Good morning, students. Welcome to Udan Career Institute. Today, we will be starting with the next chapter in Class 12 Biology, that is Chapter 2 Reproduction in Angiospermic Plants, that is reproduction in flowering plants. Now, students, as you know, that reproduction is a process of formation of new individuals from pre-existing organisms. If you see lower organisms, they undergo reproduction by asexual method, that is by fission or by budding, whereas in case of higher organisms, the reproduction it takes place by the sex organs. Plants, they also show two type of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction as well as sexual reproduction. So here flowers are basically considered as the site for sexual reproduction. So in this particular chapter we will be studying about how the reproduction it takes place in flowering plants. As flowers are the site of sexual reproduction, we will study about the structure of the flowers as well as the structure of organs which are associated with sexual reproduction in plants. Now, beginning with the introduction, there are number of flowers which we look around us. So we see wide variety of flowers, they are present around us. We can smell the scent of the flowers, we can see rich colors of the flowers. These all are due to the sexual reproduction in case of plants. So these all are the products of sexual reproduction. Now, flowers, they are mainly used for our selfish purposes nowadays. Mainly we use flowers to express our feelings or to express our gratitude, and we use flowers in a variety of or majority of the events which are occurring in our social life, but they are not only meant to be used for our own selfishness. There are wide diverse type of processes which occurs with the help of flowers also. Now, all flowering plants, that is angiosperms, they have an ability to show sexual reproduction. Now, there is a wide diversity in the structure of inflorescence, in the structure of flowers, as well as the floral parts. So we can see that there is diverse type of flowers and floral parts which are present in flowers. On the basis of that, we can see that there is wide range of adaptations which is taking place in plants to ensure the formation of fruits and seeds. And both fruits and seeds are considered as the final product of sexual reproduction. So various type of adaptations have been shown by flowers, and due to all these adaptations it finally leads to sexual reproduction, and it gives us the final product of sexual reproduction, that is fruits and seeds. So here, students, in this chapter, we will study the morphology, structure of the flower, and a process of sexual reproduction which is taking place in flowering plants, also known as angiosperms. Means what are the different steps that takes place in the process of sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Now, first of all, starting with a flower. Now, flower is a fascinating organ which is present in case of angiosperms. That's why angiosperms are also known as flowering plants. Now, human beings, we have intimate relationship with flowers since immemorial time. As I have told earlier, that flowers, they are used for aesthetic purpose. They are also used for ornamental, social, religious, and for cultural purpose in our life. We have always used the flowers to as a symbol for conveying any kind of feelings such as love, affection, happiness, grief, mourning, etc. And for each and every type of feeling we used to have a different kind of flower. So that's why there are wide diversified types of flowers which are available, and every flower, they have their own importance in our social life. Now, if you refer to a biologist, then flowers are morphological and embryological marvels. Means, for a biologist, flower it has a specific morphology, and to study that morphology, it is one kind of an opportunity. In the same way, they are also embryological marvels. How the reproduction takes place in case of flowers, that is also an important point to study for the biologist. They have a specific site for sexual reproduction, to study the sites of sexual reproduction, which is also one kind of an opportunity for a biologist to study. Now, moving towards pre-fertilization, that is structure and events, means before fertilization or before development, what kind of structures and events are associated in case of flower has been given in this particular point. Now, as all of you know that flowers, they are modified shoots, means the shoots, they get modified and it results in the formation of a flower. Now, in pre-fertilization phase, all hormonal and structural changes that takes place. So in a plant, before fertilization, there will be changes in hormones, and there will be also changes in the structure, and this leads to differentiation and development of a floral primordium. So due to hormonal and structural changes, it leads to development of a floral primordium. Primordium is group of cells or tissues which are present in the early stage. When they grow, they get converted into floral buds, and later they form the flower. Now this primordium, it develops from the meristematic cells of the shoot, and in this meristematic cells of the shoot, these hormonal and structural changes will take place that leads to the development of the primordium. Now this primordium will grow and it will give us the floral buds. So floral buds are obtained from primordia, which enlarges above the swollen end of the stalk. So there will be a stalk like structure, and the tip of the stalk, it will enlarge, and it leads to the formation of inflorescence. Once again, I'll repeat: primordia will grow into floral buds. So floral buds are being formed from primordia. These floral buds, they are present at the tip of the stalk. They will enlarge above the swollen end of the stalk, which is known as a receptacle or thalamus. So there will be a receptacle or thalamus at the tip of the stalk, which is a swollen end of the stalk, and above that the floral bud, it will grow, and it will lead to the formation of inflorescence. So inflorescence, they bear floral buds, which then develops into flowers. So floral buds, later it develops into flowers. Now, if you consider a typical flower, it has a broad base which is known as thalamus. So there will be a broad base which is found at the tip of the stalk, which is known as a receptacle, or it is also known as thalamus, and over which there will be four different whorls of floral leaves. So there will be four different whorls of floral leaves which will be present on the thalamus. They are sepals, petals, stamens, and carpels. So these four whorls, that is sepals, petals, stamen, and carpels, they will form a typical flower. Now combined sepals is known as calyx, petals all together is known as corolla, stamens all together it is known as androecium, which is the male reproductive part of the flower, and carpels together it is known as gynoecium, which is considered as female reproductive part of a flower. So out of these four whorls, stamen and carpel are male and male and female reproductive organs of a flower, whereas sepals and petals, they do not play a role in the process of sexual reproduction directly, but indirectly they are involved in the process. So basically they are the sterile part of the flower, and stamen and carpel are considered as the fertile part of the flower. So in the flower, male and female reproductive structures, that is androecium and gynoecium, are there. They will differentiate and develop. Androecium consists of wall of stamen. It is the male reproductive organ of the flower. Gynoecium consists of wall of carpels, which is the female reproductive part or organ of the flower. So androecium and gynoecium, they are known as essential floral organs because they are directly involved in the process of sexual reproduction. Sepals and petals are accessory, or we can say non-essential floral organs, because they play only a supportive role in the process of sexual reproduction. They are directly not involved in the process of sexual reproduction. Now, in this particular diagram, you can clearly see that all the four different walls of the flower are well defined. You can see that there is a broad base which is present at the tip of the stalk, which is known as thalamus. After that, the outermost wall is made up of sepals. Green sepals are there. There are colorful petals which forms the corolla. There is a male reproductive organ of the flower, that is the stamen, which consists of filament and the anther. And in the center, if you see, there is the female reproductive organ of the flower, that is the gynoecium, or we can say carpel, consisting of stigma, style and ovary. When we'll go with the detailed structure about male and female reproductive organ, we will discuss all these things in further details. So this is a typical example of an angiospermic flower. Starting with the male reproductive organ or androecium, that is microsporophyll. This is the structure of the male reproductive organ, also known as androecium or microsporophyll. This is a stamen which is consisting of anther at the top. It is connected to a long, slender stalk-like structure which is known as filament. So basically, stamen consist of anther and a filament. Now, if you cut the anther transversely, the three-dimensional structure of an anther, it will show you pollen sac. There is presence of pollen sac. We can see there is a line of dehiscence and pollen grains which are present within this pollen sac. So basically this is a diagram of male reproductive organ, that is stamen. It is also known as microsporophyll. Here you can see there is presence of anther and filament in the stamen. So from the next class onwards, we will study the structure of male reproductive organ, that is androecium, in detail. Thank you very much.